glad for the opportunity to support both the arts and Burbank schools, both of which we love very dearly. And so I'm going to take, at this location we have a great stage where we can do amazing things using live virtual compositing. And so I'm going to show a short video. I said it's 3 minutes, it's actually 3.5. I hope that fits in. So short video about what we do.
Hello and welcome to LA Castle Studios, located in the studio and media capital of the world, Burbank, California. I'm the owner, Tim Piper. Take a walk through our beautiful facility, and you'll notice luxurious green rooms, spectacular makeup rooms, vast dining and staging areas, in-house coffee shop, production offices, conference rooms, billiard area, talent lounge, movie theater-sized LEDs, and everything else producers need to make TV and movie productions of any size comfortable and efficient. But what has Hollywood buzzing is this. We've discovered a better way to make television shows and movies that not only opens massive creative doors, it saves our clients and investors millions of dollars. We figured out how to tether elite quality, freely moving 4K cinema cameras and lenses to the Unreal video game engine. And we've patented a crucial part of the process. That means productions with complete reality can now be set in million-dollar talk show or news sets, host rap sets, spaceships, international airports, restaurants, beautiful homes, old west towns, famous landmarks like the Barcelona Pavilion, giant warehouses, ancient Rome, animated worlds, or anywhere else in the universe, past, present, or future. And all with total reality without the cost of set construction or location expenses. To be clear, none of the sets you've seen in this video are real, even the set I'm in now. That saves productions and investors in those productions money, which instantly goes directly to the bottom line. Experts agree with me, and the national networks and studios that are already filming here, that this is the production method of the future. And through LA Castle Studios, it's available right now. Those who take advantage early of this modern and better way to film TV shows and movies will reap the biggest rewards. Thanks for viewing, and I'd welcome your inquiries anytime.
Well, thank you for watching. Again, very glad to have you here. Sorry about that. Anyway, should anyone want a tour of the studio in the future, just let me know. I'd be glad to do that for you. Now, I'd like to welcome up our co-chairs of the Burbank Arts for All Foundation Board of Directors, Jill Vandervoort and Tom Weiss.
Good evening and welcome. Thank you all so much for joining us for our first community exchange of the school year, 2019-2020. It's crazy. I do want to start just by honoring and acknowledging the many, many lives that were lost on this day 18 years ago. Thankfully, where there was terrible darkness, there was also light. And starting with the first responders, so many people have stepped up to offer help and service and their volunteerism in the aftermath of that day. So many that in 2009, the day was formally acknowledged with the establishment of the September 11th Day of Service and Remembrance. So I would like to start tonight, as we begin our community work, with a moment of silence in that spirit.
Okay, thank you. This week is also National Arts and Education Week. Since 2010, this week-long celebration brings together communities and art supporters from across the country to share the impact of the transformative power of arts education. We are so glad you could join us tonight during this special week. Please take a moment to share your special art story at our Step and Repeat in the back of the room there. Middle school media arts teacher Chris Mitchell and his volunteer Max. Thank you, Max, for being here tonight. Thank you, Chris, for helping us with that. They're going to go ahead and take the photo for us, so thank you. On behalf of our fellow board members and the foundation staff, we welcome you to this thoughtful discussion where the foundation will A, provide a platform to address some challenges and changes for this school year, B, offer you to become inspired by the amazing programs Burbank Unified in providing creativity to its students, and C, to collaborate together as one community to identify solutions and actionable steps in support of Burbank Unified. That's really why we're here tonight. It's in support of Burbank Unified. After the discussion, you are invited to a hosted wine and cheese reception where you can mix, mingle, and continue the conversation. So, thank you.
Just briefly, thank you to all of the elected officials that are joining us for the conversation tonight, particularly our Board of Education. I know firsthand through my children in BUSD and my husband who works in BUSD that it is not an easy time to be working in public education or as an elected official representing this community. It's not news that funding for public education in California needs improvement. I just completed the Ed 100 program. Fantastic, learned a ton, highly recommend. So that's why we're here tonight, to talk about what we can do to help. The foundation has invited our superintendent, Dr. Matt Hill, to share an update and start the conversation.
Thank you, Jill and Tom. As Tom mentioned, there's three main goals for tonight. One is just give an update on where we are in schools. I'm going to focus a lot on funding because that's top of mind for us. Second, we will be inspired after I bring you down. We're going to be inspired by Peggy and amazing arts educators and administrators. And then finally, the community exchange, where I'm going to take my hat off as superintendent and engage in a conversation over wine and cheese about the parcel tax and what I want to advocate for as a private citizen. But before we get to those next two steps, I wanted to first thank Burbank Arts for All Foundation. Many of you know that's why you're here, but the Arts Foundation with our Ed Foundation and the community and our partners, we saved our music teachers in the elementary level last year. That is the most depressing thing I have to say over and over again. We saved our elementary music teachers. How can we live in California, be the 5th largest economy in the world, and not have enough funding for elementary music teachers? If you don't know, we don't even start elementary music through the district until 2nd grade. We have foundation, we have boosters, we're fundraising committees, we have parent donations, just to even bring it in kindergarten. So in California, we say it's okay not to have music instruction. We say it's okay not to support all of the art forms in middle school and beyond. But in Burbank, we have a vision, we have an aspiration to do more. And time again, we've risen to that occasion here in Burbank. But I want to make sure everyone knows it's not easy. That was a one-time thing to raise $275,000 to keep that. If you have not done or completed ed100.org, it explains California funding. We live in a time of complacency in California. We think back when schools were fully funded. We think about when we were the top 10 in the country in funding. Now we're the bottom 10 in per student funding as a state. I was talking to someone earlier and they're like, oh, I heard New Jersey's implementing, make sure it's mandatory that arts are in all the schools. Yes, it's true. They pay more than double. They invest more than double in students in New Jersey. Over $22,000, $25,000 per student is what a child gets in New Jersey. California, $10,000. We have to change that. We tried last November, we tried QS. Many people in this room supported that. We fell short by 938 votes because in California, it's ridiculous. You can build a building for 55% of the vote, or you can pass any other tax at 50%. But if you want to invest in teachers, invest in schools, you have to have 2/3 vote. You have to have 66.67%. We lost by 938 votes. Because the people either said, it's going to happen, I don't have to vote. Voter turnout was better, but still abysmal. So my number one pitch tonight is we have to get everybody registered to vote. September is Voter Awareness Month. Get people to vote. Get them to vote by mail. If you have children, if you know children, you can register now at 16. You won't vote in the next election, but you'll automatically be ready when you turn 18. We have to get the word out. Register to vote. Get informed. A lot of people had misinformation. They didn't know what was happening with our schools. They didn't believe what was happening in our schools. And finally, show up and actually vote on the day. California is making it much easier based on the leadership, and a lot of the representatives from our elected officials are here today to make sure we vote and make it easier to vote. So what happened with Measure QS losing by 938 votes? We cut $3.5 million out of our budget. We saved music teachers, but we didn't save our visual and performing arts teacher on special assignment. So our arts department in this district was cut in half. We no longer have a director of secondary. We no longer have a public information officer. We no longer have a director of wellness. We no longer have a gate coordinator. I can go on and on and on about our district office is decimated because we try to keep the cuts away from schools. But to cut $3.5 million this first year alone, we still touch schools. Luther lost an assistant principal. Jefferson lost an assistant principal. Miller lost an assistant principal. The interventions we provide for students that are not grade level math and English took a hit. That's pathetic. And this was year one. If we do not pass the new measure in March, it's going to be March 2020, March 3rd, we will be cutting $1 to $3 million a year. I am happy to talk to everybody when we have a glass of wine about why you should vote yes. I can't do that right now because I guess I've already worked 12 hours. I guess I'm off the clock. But I'll be cautious about that. I'll tell you more about that. But I'll be very simple about it. If you vote no, your taxes will not go up on average $14 a month. But we will raise class sizes. We will eliminate those elementary music teachers. We will be cutting arts. We will be cutting career technical education. We will be cutting PE. Or we're going to fundraise $9 million every single year to keep all those. So you vote no, your taxes don't go up on average $14 a month. But we will be cutting or fundraising $9 million a year to save that. You vote yes for $14 a month. We will raise $9 million a year. We will protect those items. We will look at restoring some of the other items that were cut. And we'll be able to invest in the arts plan, the gifted plan, all the master plans and the visionary aspects that we want to do in this district that make Burbank great, we'll be able to do that as well. So when I have my glass of wine, there's an easy answer, I can tell you. But right now, we have to make that choice as a community and get educated. If you want to debate me on the technicality of it, you want to debate me on the finances, we can do that all year until March. But let's have those debates early and often so that people can make an informed decision. So 2 quick other things I want to give an update. Since QS lost, people are saying, well, fundraising, why did the board put a freeze on fundraising? Because the board and myself have to look the individuals in the eyes when we lay them off. It is much easier to freeze vacant positions and not start anything new when you're in a crisis. And we are in a crisis. So people ask about fundraising. I have this great idea to do something new. If we were not doing it last year, or I don't have an email or something in writing that you were planning to do it this year, it's not happening. We are not doing anything new. One, I don't have staff in the district office to support it. And two, we don't have the money and we're not going to cut something the next year. Because if this next measure does not pass in March, we are cutting $1 to $3 million a year. Finally, the fundraising committees, we used to have boosters. Huge support for our schools. We're making a big change to make sure that it's supported. It was led by all volunteers. Now, the volunteers, they didn't have enough support to keep that going through the SBA. They've been working very closely with us to transition that. We still want to raise money for our schools through boosters and fundraising. Especially if it fails, because we're going to need to raise $9 million a year, on top of the millions they're already raising. So if there's questions about that, Dr. Karama and I are here. We're happy to talk about that afterwards. I won't do the individual questions, but there is a transition phase this year that we're working with schools. And the goal is really to have that transition from boosters to fundraising committees by October, but we'll be here for Q&A afterwards. So as I bring you down a little bit, just a little bit, this is what I live and breathe every single day since last November. And now we're seeing in our schools. But on the flip side, I also am spending more and more time in classrooms visiting our Teacher of the Year, Guy Myers, to see what he's doing. Yeah, Chris Mitchell, you have a lot of educators and administrators here, and I see the students every day. Your children are students. When we invest in them, they deliver tenfold. I see that, and we share those stories. So part two of this story is, let's hear about the great work we're already doing in Burbank. Let's applaud it. Let's have the reality that we won't be able to sustain it without support. And then we make a decision as a community, what kind of district do we want for our children? So with that, I'm going to ask Peggy to come on up.
Can I use my teacher voice? Can you hear me if I speak like this? Do I need a microphone? Because I'm not very good at it.
I think for the filming, let's do the microphone.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so this will be fun. I'm going to look at my notes. I'm going to try to look at my notes and hold the microphone. Oh, thank you. Hello. I guess I'm not going to look at my notes. There we go. You can skip to the next one. Thank you. So it was interesting when I met with Trina and Sandra and Tom and what's your name? Jill. We were talking about how long it's been since the district first adopted its first Arts for All plan and joined the LA County Arts Initiative. And it's been 14 years. And we started to kind of talk about how long that is and realize that there's a whole generation of students that are in our schools right now and their families that only know our arts programs and all of our education programs as they are today. They don't have that frame of reference to know where we were 14 years ago. So I thought it would be really, it's a key moment right now for us to kind of look back at how we got to where we are right now. We didn't do it in isolation. Not one entity pulled it off by themselves, and it took time. So I wanted to look at a snapshot of 3 different programs just to give you a varied view. We've got hundreds that we've developed that I'm really proud of, and I'm proud of all the people in here for the same thing. Okay. So we're gonna look at 3 programs that started from the ground up since we adopted our first arts plan in 2005. We're gonna look at Providencia Elementary School's weekly kindergarten through 5th grade music program, John Muir Middle School's digital media program, I'm probably blocking this, John Burroughs High School drama and musical theater program run by Guy Myers, our Teacher of the Year. And I'm very happy to say that I'm not doing this by myself. I've got plants in the audience. Providencia's amazing principal, who has literally been tortured since the day I told her that we were starting this, Jennifer Culbertson. We've got Victoria Lanier, who's the Executive Director of Education through Music Los Angeles, who helped us as one of our partners, an important partner. Dr. Greg Miller is here from John Muir Middle School. Guy Myers is here from John Burroughs. So I chose these schools because they all had something in common. They all exemplified the same things that we're trying to instill in our children. We want to make sure that they are critical thinkers and strategic about their plans and make a plan and know how to move forward with it. We want them to be creative and innovative. We want them to connect what they know to what they're learning. And we want them to be collaborative. All of these programs that we're going to look at are going to talk about all of those things. So each of these programs started with an identified problem. It wasn't just a whim. Somebody didn't wake up in the middle of the night and think, oh, I think we should do this. We actually started with a problem that we wanted to address and solve. We collectively brainstormed possible solutions. We analyzed what those solutions would involve, which were possible, what should we prioritize. And each of these programs served as a pilot, either for growth within their own school or for growth within the district. It's a very big screen. Each of these programs was developed to connect to what came before and what would come after. So we very much considered what were the students learning before they entered this program, what were they moving on to, and what did we want to make sure they knew as they moved on to the next level of learning. Each of these programs started with a vision, and this is the part that I really want to emphasize. Well, there's a lot of parts I want to emphasize, but they capitalized on the resources that they had available at that site. I hear a lot parents say, well, it's not fair, it's over there, it's not over here. We do our best to make sure we offer the same programs and the same opportunities to students to engage in every art form at every school. The fact of the matter is each school has its own culture. You've got individual teachers with individual talents and strengths. Each school has parents that come from a different background and a different set of skills and expertise. We've got schools that have developed partnerships with one area or another. You work with the resources that you have around you first. You start with your strengths and then you build towards filling the gaps that you've got. So what I really like about each of these programs is they did exactly that. They looked at what their strengths were, they looked at where they wanted to go with it and their full vision, and then how were we going to get from point A to point B. And that was the thing that I thought was strongest on each of these. And each of them evolved over time. Some of them aren't the program we thought it was going to be when we first set out to do this. Some of them we had to, trial and error and work out the glitches, but each of these was able to grow and expand as we made changes. And then of course, collaborative. When we see and hear from the principals about these programs, each of them really impacted a sense of community within their own school or within the district. They all engaged community support from partners, and they've all been sustainable. The one thing I left off this, they were all supported by the district as well. I think we make a point of celebrating the support that we get from our parents, our businesses, our nonprofits. I think we have to do a better job at selling how much the district has invested, especially our school board. Since we became an Arts for All district, we've increased our budget for the arts from 1% to almost 5%. That may change very soon, but that's a huge commitment. We invest in our teachers, our facilities, our equipment. The district had a hand in every single program you're about to hear about. So did a lot of other people. Everything our kids do and learn in our schools is because the district is leading a charge and the community comes in and supports. So, I think I'm gonna have to have you come up, Jen. I'm so sorry. I promised them it's the beginning of the year, I won't make you get up and plan something. Providencia, so my role is, I'm gonna give you the stats. The background, the background is, it was 2000 and, let's see, Victoria, when did I meet you? 10? No. No, that was when we started. I'll go back. Victoria Muir is the Executive Director of Education Through Music Los Angeles, which is a nonprofit that focuses on making sure students, and I'll let you speak to that, have an opportunity to engage in music and learn. They have a criteria for the kinds of schools that they work with. They like to work with, or their mission is to work with schools that are 90 to 100% free and reduced lunch. Fortunately for Burbank, we don't have a lot of that, but we do have Title I schools. We do have students on free and reduced lunch. But we were just shy of qualifying. But Victoria is lovely. We would run into each other at different events and different conferences. We kept a relationship. We would invite, when BAFA was doing the city arts festival, we invited ETMLA to come and have a booth. We just kept that relationship going, but we still didn't qualify. Around the same time, I met a woman named Jacqueline Shea from VH1 Save the Music. Same circumstances, we were at an event or something. Again, we don't qualify. I think they have something like 99% free and reduced lunch qualifications. Kept in touch. Lucky for us, Victoria and Jacqueline met one day. They went to coffee and then they called me and said, we figured out a way for Burbank to be able to qualify for one of our programs. Great. Which brings me to why Providencia. Why Providencia? Providencia is a fairly small school. It had an enrollment under 400 students. It had a high enough free and reduced lunch population that the two entities could convince their boards to make an exception and their usual criteria. Because of their size, we could manage, with the support of ETMLA, to use our existing elementary music teacher that was already serving Providencia and balance it with some Education Through Music LA teachers and make it so that every student in the school would get weekly music instruction, and 4th and 5th graders would get instrumental instruction. So the last piece of it, which is kind of the funny part, I had a principal there that was phenomenal, super enthusiastic. I knew he would embrace it, and I knew that if the district seed funded that program for 1 year and worked with that principal and his community, we could fundraise for the following year. So the goal is to always be 1 year ahead of your need, so that you're not running around threatening that there's no music tomorrow, we have to cut it. That principal was Tom Kissinger. Before I could even find him, it was summertime. Before I could find him, he was on the East Coast, to tell him that this had happened. I'm at a board meeting and they announced that Jennifer Culbertson is the new principal at Providencia. I had no idea. So the day after, I called Jennifer and said, guess what? Guess what we're gonna do? So I'm gonna be quiet now. The district invested, I believe, $6,000 the first year, with the goal to raise $6,000 more during the school year to keep it going.
Oh gosh, yeah, that first year, I think I was a principal for 30 seconds and my phone was ringing from Peggy, and so excited to bring this new program. I'm of course very passionate about the arts, so I knew that this was something that was right up our alley. And the fact that we could extend our music program and reach every single student was just amazing. And like Peggy said, we also received $30,000 from Save the Music, so we were able to purchase the violins and cellos. And then the next year, the Leadership Burbank class also raised money to provide us more violins. So it's definitely evolved over the years. We are in, this is my 9th year being principal there, my 24th year at Providencia. So I feel like I know the community quite well, and I'm seeing a huge change over time. That first year, when we had Back then we didn't have TK, we had kinder through 5th grade music. It was so exciting to have weekly music instruction in every single class. And then the 4th and 5th graders got to self-select either the violin or the cello. And at that point we required every 4th and 5th grade student to select an instrument, and that has definitely evolved over time. We are so excited that this year we added in another instrument. We added in viola, and I just remember Peg that very first year asking, like, I don't know how we're gonna raise this much money. And I've always had a very wonderful community, always very small. At one point we had a teacher that was our PTA president, and so engagement was pretty low, and we were the tiny little unknown school that was almost in North Hollywood, if you will. It's changed so much over the past years, few years. At one point a few years ago, I took to heart what Peggy said. Not only were we 1 year funded out, we were 3 years funded out. And for a tiny Title I school, 53% of our students are receiving free and reduced lunch. That was just such a proud moment. And it's not me, it's our staff, it's our community, but it's our parents. It really has brought us together. We've done lots of fundraisers. We do an annual Save the Music comedy night, and now we don't even call it Save the Music because the music has been saved. And it's really such a part of who we are, and the amount of students who are participating in our orchestra is phenomenal. The amount of students who have gone on to Luther now. Thankfully, when we first started, Luther did not have a strings program. It does now. So when I go to Luther and see concerts, the amount of Providencia faces that I see, it gives me goosebumps. And our after-school orchestra is just thriving. We have about 68 4th and 5th graders in a beginning orchestra in the morning and an after-school orchestra. The things they're doing are just phenomenal. Our relationship with ETMLA has been amazing. Victoria has been such a strong partner. Our music teachers have been phenomenal. And we've had special guests that have come on our campus, Ed Helms and his band, and Michael Giacchino, who's a very well-known composer. And for my students to get to sit and hear from an Academy Award-winning composer, Christoph Beck came and performed. Those are the types of opportunities that are so important to us, and it's because of our partnership and relationship with ETM that we've been able to do that. And I feel like I'm babbling a little bit, but I can't imagine Providencia without our music program, and I feel like it's a beacon of our school, and our students are so proud, and they finally, when they get to 4th and 5th grade, they're so excited because not only have they had weekly general music instruction, the fact that they get to play an instrument is huge. And someone asked, well, why did you finally get to add the viola this year? Well, we last year did a direct donation drive, our first 4 weeks of school. Our goal was $7,000, and we raised almost $16,000. So with that extra money,
this is a school that when I worked there 10 years earlier, we raised $1,000 the entire year.
So this was a 4-week direct donation drive, and it was boosters, and now it's the Providencia fundraising committee. So we had that extra money, and we have a music committee, and we said, what shall we do? And we always say we want to take it to the next level. Well, the next level was adding in viola, and so.
So let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Because it's such an incredible thing that the community comes together, and we want to celebrate that. If the district's elementary music program were to lose teachers, and it impacted how many grade levels or how many weeks that you got instruction, how would that change the rest of your program?
Yeah, I don't even think about that. I know that's the reality that if we don't pass this measure, I think it would, the sequence of having weekly general music instruction for every student TK through 5th, it would ultimately, affect our students' knowledge. And if the district doesn't have music teachers, I don't know how we could continue to partner with ETM and just to have to focus on a couple grade levels. I'm all about equity, and I feel like that wouldn't be fair. And ultimately, and I invite any of you to come see our concerts. We do a winter concert, a spring concert. How far they've come. It just would really would really be a shame.
So it would impact.
It would absolutely impact it. I'm not good at selling things, but yes, I can't
I'm
imagine.
I'm not trying to have you sell. I just want people to be aware. Yeah, we're celebrating, we raised money and you've learned how to sustain it. But that's now, with the district supporting the infrastructure.
And I'll just do one last thing. You know, we have a brand new crop of kinder and TK parents, and I'm going to wrap up. And Liz is one of our awesome parents who's here today, and our new arts chair. And so music has been our thing, and so we did another direct donation drive, and we said, okay, well, 16,000, let's try to beat it. And I just want to tell you, Liz, you can't tell anyone yet, because this is private, you know, kind of down low. But we just did a 4-week donation drive. We raised $18,000. I am? Oh, well, no, we can celebrate. I told them we're going to do this big celebratory email. So my little school, and again, 18,000, so I'm so proud, and thank all of our community. Yeah.
So she's a little passionate about it, which is one of the reasons you can see. I also want to give a nod to the Burbank Arts for All Foundation. That first year when we were trying to raise money for the second year, we leveraged the money that we had from the district to do the matching funds, and we actually doubled the amount of money the district had by receiving an Arts for All grant. So thank you. Okay. John Muir Middle School, digital media. Okay, here's my job is, I'll give the background. So there was a problem. Each year I would meet with each group of disciplined teachers. So I meet with the theater teachers, I meet with the music teachers, yada yada. Digital media teachers in the high schools, when it came time for us to meet, we started in on our strategic plan. We did a whole gap analysis. Where are we at? Where do we want to be? How do we get there? And one of the key pieces that came up was that it's just so frustrating we lose a semester trying to catch up the kids that don't have any technical experience with the kids who come in having tons of it. And around the same time, we were building our pathways, our digital media pathways. So one of the goals that they came up with was, if we could add some kind of a general digital media program in the middle schools, that would enable us to go farther faster with these kids. They would be able to accomplish more in a year. That was our problem, and our solution was to start these programs. We were in the middle of a recession. There was no way that we were going to be adding teachers. And when you build a program in a school, you start with one section, not 5 sections. 5 sections would pay for a teacher. You start with 1 class. So ideally, you look for somebody that's on your staff already. So the solution was, with Dr. Miller, to identify a staff member. We started with providing professional development to a small group of teachers who were interested. And then from that little batch, we tried to suss out the one that might actually volunteer to take on a new prep period. Why John Muir? They had room in their master schedule, which is another big piece of a puzzle that you have to look at when you're adding programs. They had interested staff members, and they had a very enthusiastic, and he told me he'd slide me a tip if I added handsome and energetic and intelligent principal, Dr. Miller.
So, do you like the green? Is it green box? Okay, yes. All right. Just to be fair, when the grant was applied for, there was a super enthusiastic, good-looking principal at Muir. It was John Bramo, actually. And so when I was hired at Muir, welcome to Burbank, welcome to Muir, you have a grant for a digital media class that you're going to start, and you don't even have a computers program. There's no teacher for it. But thanks to Burbank Arts for All, we did get professional development for a cohort of teachers, and we were in the process of...
A little backward.
A little backward?
Just a little. Arts for All did our second year of PD.
Okay.
that grant.
Okay.
Carry
So Arts for All helped with the PD, and so we had a group of teachers. Luckily at this time, Muir was starting to grow in size. It hasn't stopped. But we were able to add, at the end of the first year, we actually had, before we were launching this class, we were able to add another teacher, and the teacher that we added was a wonderful computer teacher who could start our digital media program. The big thing to say is, one, Arts for All was foundational in helping all along the way, not only with funding the PD, but also the equipment. I mean, it's a film class, and that goes with, I mean, it's everything from green screen to cameras to recorders to all kinds of editing software. It was also quarterbacked by Peggy Flynn with tons of support from the district.
Lots of funding from the district.
Lots of funding from the district. And, but it started, actually one of the great things that came out of it, among many, is that it started a partnership with Nickelodeon, which is now like our business partner is Nickelodeon, and they're kind of a big part of our campus life. They basically not only said, hey, what can we provide with stuff? They committed, and it continues to this day, that every quarter, because it's a year-long class, so these are committed kids who are like really growing in their abilities as film producers and editors. But every 10 weeks they send in an expert from Nickelodeon. So we've had like directors of very popular children's shows, to sound editors, to storyboard artists, and our kids suck it up. I mean, they just listen and they're learning, and it's very, very practical for them. Our kids also go over to Nickelodeon twice a year for field trips. But the program itself is amazing. So here we are. We're in Nickelodeon. But the program itself is amazing. So the students learn all aspects of film. They actually use a couple different types of cameras, even to learn how to like film with something as easy as a phone or an iPad to something that's way more technically advanced, a Nikon something. But they learn how to do sound and light editing. They learn all that whole entire process. Once it started at Muir, because we were the pilot, then it grew. So then it went to the other schools, and this is the beauty of Burbank, is now all 3 schools have media design programs, and while they're all similar in some ways, they're also very uniquely different in just beautiful ways, that we all have kind of a different focus, and that's the creativity of the teacher. And then as it grew, and as all of the programs at the 3 schools grew, then it was this thing where there was collaboration not only with the teachers, but we started a tri-school film festival, which is not a competition, but every year, all the media kids in middle school go to, we've done it at Nickelodeon a couple times, we've done it at the Colony Theater, but all the kids show their films, and it's like 2 to 3 hours of watching student films. They all get to see each other, they all applaud for each other, they all eat popcorn and make a mess. And it's just a wonderful, awesome thing. And it feeds right into the high school. So we have a lot of kids that now come straight out of the middle school program, go right to Burbank High, and they're working on Bulldog News or whatever the TV station is there, yeah. And so it's just been this wonderful thing for us. Like it was, at one point it was like this little piece that we were trying to put in that's not blossomed into a program, you know, and kids come in, and I always think in middle school and high school, I guess, but the big thing is like finding your group, your tribe. And so, you know, performing arts is a big tribe for a lot of kids, and that's where they kind of find their group. I will tell you that the media kids, they are their own little tribe, and they are the ones you walk by at lunch and they're talking about film angle and the lighting during the day and the shadow over, because they film on campus and things, and it's just an awesome thing to see. And again, that wouldn't have been possible without support from the district, without support from Burbank Arts for All and
Business community.
Business community, Nickelodeon, yeah, it's been awesome.
It isn't just one entity, CTE and Shan Paseo.
Okay, am I done? All right.
Thank you. Okay, now, they're all very near. I'm afraid if I put this down, is it going to make that horrible noise? I'm good? Thank you. This is especially near and dear to my heart. It's not why I picked this program, but I got to see this program grow from the ground up. Little background, John Burroughs High School had a theater program in place already in 2007, 2008 that had been around for a while. Yeah, you former Burroughs principals chime in anytime if I make a mistake. It was very small. I believe there were fewer than 25 kids in the program. They performed on the stage with the audience, on the stage with them. It was a very small program. Not that that's a bad thing, but it really was wanting to grow. At the same time, Mr. Myers was teaching English at John Burroughs, and he proposed to Mr. Uriosty to please do a musical theater class because of the great voices we had in the vocal music program. Mr. Uriosty was very excited about that, and they started planning for it. Long story short, lo and behold, that summer before the musical theater program was supposed to start, the drama teacher took a job someplace else. What a wonderful opportunity. We've got Mr. Myers, who had, I believe, 2 English classes, 2 drama classes, and musical theater, your first year? Play club. Thank you. Right. All right, so that sets the stage there. District investment, definitely Mr. Myers, one of the best investments we've ever made. Other supports in there, Warner Brothers stepped up really immediately and offered free services for props. One of my fondest memories is running around the prop warehouse at Warner Brothers with Mr. Myers going, oh my God, we're in here. It was very exciting. The district arts budget invested in various items that were needed. When you're growing a program and you're successful, you need storage space. It's at a premium at every single school. Well, you'll see on the last one. You'll see Mr. Myers on a forklift. We leveraged district funding with grant funding. Mr. Myers built such a parent community support system that he did have a boosters that's now a fundraising group that goes through ASB on campus. And I think that's my stats. You want to come down now?
Sure.
Guy Myers.
Thank you, Peggy. I'll try to stay on my mark. First of all, Peggy, thank you. You have so much heart right now, and it really translates. And when I first started, Peggy's the one who rented the U-Haul. She's the one who drove me over to Warner Brothers. She's lifting tables, and that stuff is dusty. So we were getting dirty, down and dirty, to make sure the drama department would succeed that very first year. And the Burbank Arts for All Foundation gave us money to support those first shows and for that program to really turn into what it has become, which is now 5 very full periods of drama of very enthusiastic and loud kids. You know, they're awesome. But really what I want to do is help kids find their voices, help them be comfortable in their own skin, so that then they can figure out who they are. That's what we want to do in the arts. We want to help kids figure out who they are and find their voices and find what their message is. And so I thought the best way to, I had the kids write stuff, and I said, just write me a couple sentences. What do the arts mean to you? What does the performing arts mean? You're going to cry. What do the performing arts mean to you? And they wrote pages and pages, so I won't read all of it. But will you be my assistant? When I say ding, will you take the paper off the top?
Yes.
So I can go to the next one? Cool. So these are some of the words that the students wrote. Students learn social and presentational skills, how to analyze a script, how to practice discipline, to organize their time. Students learn empathy, being able to take a character, dissect his or her personality and background, understand the motives behind their actions or thoughts, and then become that character is a unique experience. Sometimes there are emotions or feelings students can't express on their own, but through music, theater, or other art forms, they can find clarity or catharsis. Catharsis. Ding. Nope. This is when the kid was a freshman. He says a friend talked him into taking drama 1. That may have been the best decision of my high school career. Period 3 drama always felt safe, in contrast to the harsh ocean outside. Drama class felt like a place where no matter how dumb whatever I wanted to say was, I could say it and be heard. Ding. Just the top. No, you're doing a great job. But this one's short. Our morals are rooted in the performing arts. Ding. It's good. The performing arts is not only what makes us human. We also have conversation, connection, and discover who we are. The performing arts are important because it gives a lot of people a sense of home, community, and purpose. The performing arts convey so many important messages of tolerance, acceptance, and love. Ding. This student also brings up public speaking and the ability to take risks. Being comfortable with failure allows you to improve faster than anything else. Being unafraid to volunteer an answer or to audition for a difficult part allows you to succeed. Yep, I have one more. This one. This brings it home. All right, so.
Bring it home.
I can't think of a single reason to be open about who you are in high school. It must seem a bit of a played-out trope, hating high school, but it's a trope I'm guilty of. I felt I had to put on armor every day to get through the day. The armor covered all the parts of me that made me an individual. I don't know how Mr. Myers did it. He created a space freeing in a place that is anything but. He nurtured creativity, honesty, self-expression of the students in his classes. He created a space where young people felt safe to try out who they were for an hour of the day. My education comes from the experience of being open in the sight of others. My growth comes through the generosity of those around me, and everyone who came into that classroom felt that generosity. But being seen, and being seen by people, and being heard.
Wow, thank you. Just very quickly, all the support that he receives listed here, and there's Mr. Myers on his forklift. Lastly, I can attest, when my son experienced all of that, I was a witness, and that's why I'm kind of biased. So, I hope the takeaway here is that not one entity has made all of this happen. It's really been a collective impact project in every corner of our schools. The district has made a huge investment, and I think because the district has made a huge investment, that tells the community and it tells the broader audience in the region and in the country, really, that this district is committed to making sure every student has access to the arts. Without that ability to show commitment, it's very difficult to attract additional funds. And with that, I will say thank you, and thank you all, because every single person in this room has been a part of building what we've built over the last 14 years, and our kids are better for it, so thank you.
Thank you very much, Peggy and Jen and Greg and Guy, for that inspiring and heartwarming presentation. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Sandra Montillo. I'm the Program and Outreach Manager for Burbank Arts for All Foundation. And I just want to take a second and share that throughout the year, the foundation engages parent advocates in the Burbank community who share in the foundation's mission to further arts education programs in Burbank Unified. Together, we collaborate as arts advocacy leaders to provide resources, tools, and guidance. This program at the foundation is supported by the foundation's Board of Directors Community Outreach Advisory Committee. For the last 6+ years, this board committee has been led by the amazing duo of Suzanne Wirtz and Jamie Butterworth. Suzanne and Jamie have now stepped back for new leadership, and the foundation is thrilled to welcome the new chair of the board's Community Outreach Advisory Committee, Brenda Etterbeek. Suzanne and Jamie, your leadership has been an inspiration to so
many people over the years, and you have the Foundation's unending gratitude for all that you've done and continue to do to move this work forward. And I'm going to ask Brenda here to just share a bit about how Suzanne and Jamie's influence on the next generation of parents has inspired her.
All right, well, thank you so much, Sandra, and I'm so honored to be serving as the new Community Outreach Chair for this foundation. Many years ago, I call it my BK, before kids, I met Jamie Butterworth at Edison Elementary. She had actually hired me to teach the new after-school orchestra program. And I was really excited to teach in Burbank since I lived here in Burbank. I typically taught about 4 days a week out on the west side of LA, in Culver City and the Palisades. So I was thrilled to be teaching a class less than a mile from my house. I was so impressed with Jamie's love of the arts and could see the impact that she was having at her school site. I sat in many organizing meetings with her and the principal and could see the trust and respect that she had earned in that relationship. When my own children started at Edison, I reached out to Jamie many times with questions and for advice. And she was so positive and encouraging to me. And sometimes she was just empathetic, which is what I needed. She soon introduced me to Suzanne Words. And together, they helped support a meeting I had with my arts committee. I was blown away by the passion, zeal, knowledge, and excitement for the arts that these two had. It was during this meeting that the Edison Art Wheel was actually dreamt over at Romancing the Beam. Suzanne is a woman with a mission. She's focused and has so much energy. Her love for all things is so contagious. You just want to be around her, or at least I do. She makes me and others feel that anything is possible and that no obstacles can stop you. So there really aren't enough thank yous today for the years of time that you have invested into our community and the lives of our children. Please know that your time was not in vain, but has inspired many people, including myself. I promise to remember that path that you have paved and continue your work. So on behalf of the foundation and our community, I would like to have you come on up and say thank you. To other amazing leaders to join me in sharing some positive and proactive resources and actionable steps that you can take with you home today. Please join me in welcoming Jennie Ford and Erin Clendenin.
Hi, I'm Jennie Ford. I'm an elementary school parent over at Disney. And can I just have a show of hands, if you can raise your hand if you are a parent of a BUSD student. Awesome. Now, keep your hands raised if you are a fairly new parent to your school site. Yes, we have a few here. So this really is a message for the new parents, because new parents come into a school with a lot of passion and a lot of great new ideas that they want to push through for their children, for their school. It's all the best intentions. And there's pathways of going about helping your school site grow and improve. And I want to say that it's a parent-to-parent involvement is one of those special ways that can get it done. And I think reaching out to your parent leadership at the school is the best place to start. We have an example of a wonderfully energetic new parent that came to our school, and she was so interested in the garden. That was her passion project, and she had a kindergartner, a first grader, and 2 more that were going to come up. So she was going to be at Disney a really long time, and she was invested in the garden. And so she had these ideas, and we showed her the garden, and she was like, oh my goodness, okay, there's some work to be done. So she is trying to find the right people to connect with to get going on this garden. Who do I talk to? How can I get this going? She writes a wonderful, energetic email to the principal, The principal doesn't know her. She doesn't know the principal yet. There's all great ideas, but she doesn't hear anything back, so she's a little bit disheartened. And on the school site side, the principal is getting emails from a lot of parents and thinking, I don't know that I have all the answers to this right now, nor do I have the time to fill them in on the history of what's happened. So she just had her feelers out with all the different parents and the principal, and it just so happened that I was the booster president at the time, and the PTA president and I sat down with her and said, look, this is what the history was with the garden. This is the best way to talk to the principal. This is how we can help you. We helped her vet out all of her ideas and all of her resources so that we could call a meeting with the principal and her. And it started out a great introduction, and the principal knew that the other parent organizations were behind this project. It wasn't just one new parent with one new great shiny idea along with all the other parents that come in squeaking and squawking about they want something else. So it was a vetted idea. It's been taken very, very seriously now at our school. She's worked with community partners in bringing those partners to the school, and there's without a shadow of a doubt that we will get a garden going. So that doesn't happen without parents' involvement, passion like her. It doesn't happen without the principal that can support those ideas and give permission. And so it's this whole ecosystem. And just in the past year of our parent-to-parent involvement, we have theater arts that was brought to Walt Disney. We have a kiln program because we poached, parents poached other parents at other school sites and brought them over to our school, and we will get a garden going. So cheers to the parents, and if you're a new parent, go and find those new parents that are leaders like yourself that can help you carve the pathways to growth at your school site and decode all of the district acronyms that you will hear. Yeah.
All right. Hi again. I'm in my 7th year at my elementary school. I still have 4 more to go. And I'm in my 1st year at my son's middle school. And I've learned a lot in my experience with trying to implement change at my specific school sites, specifically when it comes to being a solution partner to support and work with your principal. So as a first-time parent, when my oldest was in kindergarten, I had very high expectations of his 3-hour and 23-minute day. And frankly, I was a little disappointed at the lack of fine arts exposure that he was going to have at his first year in elementary school. So of course, I went right to the school principal to see how this could be changed, and was met with a listening ear but polite resistance, which makes sense. I wish I had approached the situation differently, as I could see that our principal was supportive but was navigating the challenges of being a principal and all that comes with that. So here are some things that I learned. Building a positive and proactive relationship with our school principal. Choose to be positive. I was careful to not speak negatively about existing programs or efforts that were made by others before I became a parent. I was appreciative and supportive of these programs and even offered my time and support for them. There's no time for being critical when you would like to see growth occur. Contribute, that's the next thing. I volunteered a lot of time. I wanted to be an invested stakeholder. My principal noticed that I was reliable and helpful. This helped me to build trust and credibility at our school, with our school's teachers and administration, and they could see that I was someone who got things done. I became a solution partner. With my time volunteering, many of the obvious obstacles became clear: money, time, and space, like Jennie shared. Before approaching my principal, I also met with other parent stakeholders at my school site and came up with creative ways to implement fine arts curriculum. I worked really hard to think things all the way through and foresaw the things that would come up if my ideas were implemented. After all this planning, I then approached our principal, and she was really open to discussing all she could tell that all the creative approach was really well thought out. So in my experience, our principals are really open to ideas about growing fine arts for our students, but we as parents have to be patient and positive to help implement this growth.
Hi, my name is Erin Clendenin. I have 2 kids currently at Burbank USD. One is in the 12th grade, one is in the 8th grade. So I've been here for a few years. And as we continue to discuss tonight how parents can advocate for supporting the arts education in the schools, I'd like to talk to you about one way that I don't think a lot of people know about, and that is the school site council. If I could just, I see a lot of familiar faces, it's a pretty savvy bunch, but if I could just see a show of hands real quick of people who are familiar with what the school site council does. That's great, so there are a lot of you, it sounds like, that don't. I just want to let you know, I was a member of the school site council at my children's elementary school for 6 or 7 years. I was on the council for so long that one day when I apparently wasn't paying attention, they elected me chair. But I just want to say that regardless of my position and whether I was a member or not, I found it to be a really invaluable source of information that I didn't get at other parent meetings. By definition, the school site council is a group of teachers, parents, classified employees, and at the high school level, even students that work with the principal to develop, review, and evaluate school improvement programs and school budgets. And what is unique to this group is that often it's a small group, but it's a really balanced group of teachers, staffs, and parents discussing what I consider to be sort of a nuts and bolts of school plans and programs, and it is the perfect place to get a big picture view of your school and how resources are distributed. It also tends to be a much more intimate and informal environment for these discussions. And it's just an ideal place to not only advocate for the arts, but to be part of the solution in making them happen. So some of the advantages of these meetings are, as they said here, Jennie and Brenda, you develop a relationship with your principal in, once again, a very small, intimate environment. You also hear the teachers' points of views on issues. Sometimes we come in with really big ideas and we want something and we don't understand why it may or may not work. And you have teachers there where you can hear their points of view. You can bring your ideas to the table, but it's a much smaller table and it's with people who can make a difference. You can also make sure your school site has current arts goals in your single plan for student achievement. And if they don't, this is the place to get that done. So a couple things just to note about it if you have any interest in the school site council is, you do not have to be a member to attend and have a voice. Parents and staff members are elected to the council, but all are welcome to attend. Also, meetings tend to be fewer and farther between, only perhaps maybe 4 to 5 per year, and agendas are frequently posted in advance so that you can see what's going on. So if you want to get information from and to the right people, I consider school site council to be one of the best places you can go. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ladies. So I just want to say that in addition to the collaborative work that the foundation does with arts advocacy leaders like Jennie, Brenda, and Erin, the foundation also works as an allied agency with the Burbank Council PTA. I'd just like to take a moment to introduce you to the current Council PTA president, Wendy Harville. Wendy, where did you go? And the current Council PTA Arts Chair, Kirsten Morris. Thank you so much for all that Council PTA and all the school site PTA units do for our students, and the foundation looks forward to our continued partnership with you as we work together to support the students of Burbank Unified. So before we wrap up and we get to the wine and cheese portion of our evening, I just want to talk a little bit about the foundation's upcoming fall grant cycle. The deadline for our fall grant cycle is this coming Monday, September 16th by 5 p.m. So you have until then to get us your applications. Grant applications for the foundation can be for supplemental funding for arts education programs in any subject matter, whether that be discrete arts education like theater, dance, music, visual arts, media arts, culinary arts, arts integration into other subjects, facilities upgrades, equipment, materials, and supplies, even if you just need crayons. We will accept your application for it. So if you have any questions about our grant application process or what you can apply for, please find me. You can find me tonight. My contact information is over at the front, and I'm always happy to help you. We are a friendly funder, and our door is always open for any questions, or if you just want us to look over your application before submitting it, just so we can give you some feedback to help you put your best foot forward. This grant cycle, we also have a special opportunity through the City of Burbank and their Arts and Public Places Ordinance. We received funding, through Arts and Public Places to support Arts and Public Places programs at the school sites. These are larger projects and have a little bit more restrictions and different criteria than our general grant applications. These applications can only be submitted by school site principals and district administration. But if you have any questions about those, please do not hesitate to come and talk to me. And we're happy to come to your school site, look at any spaces you're thinking about, a mural or an art installation or a sculpture, and get that process rolling. So with that, I just want to thank you all for joining us tonight. We invite you to continue to mix, mingle, and keep the conversation going while enjoying wine, cheese, and other goodies courtesy of Handy Market and our amazing arts advocacy leaders. And please be sure to stop by our photo booth over there and get your photo taken with a sign of what arts education means to you. Thank you.
You know what would be great public art?
Sorry, hang on one second.